Our next guest is Mike Hammer, the president of the Southern California region of WM. And yeah, it's going to be a really exciting conversation I'd like to have with Mike and also share with you the vision about sustainability. It's an area that we are working on. We have a research area called autonomy for sustainability. So it's really exciting to be able to have this conversation. With that, can I please help me welcome Mike Hammer? Yeah. So Mike, I know you've been affiliated with CSUN and you have a really interesting background. Can you please tell us more about it? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm from a small town in Iowa, and I also fell in love with science. I was a chemist at the University of Iowa, and then, I know you tease me, you know my background, but I dropped out of Caltech the first day of grad school and decided I just didn't want to spend 5 or 6 years getting a PhD in a lab. I wanted to be more with people, and so I became a patent attorney and practiced law for a few years and moved out to Los Angeles and went from working with inventors to more litigation, big companies fighting over patent infringement, and I didn't really enjoy it. So after passing 3 state bar exams and the federal patent bar, to my parents' chagrin, I quit law. And I had this need, I wanted to give back to people, and especially the younger people. And so I said, I'm gonna be a minister. And that's what led me to CSUN. And so I was a campus minister for right after the Northridge earthquake with less than a year.
1994.
Yeah, at the end of 1994 is when I moved over to Northridge and became a campus minister. We had about 100 college students that were part of the ministry and teaching them life skills as well as, spiritual things. And, so I was a minister for almost a decade, and then as I got older, I said, well, I don't know that I want to do that full-time anymore. I really enjoyed giving back, but I needed to find a job, so I thought I'd go back to being a patent attorney, but law firms didn't appreciate my 10-year sabbatical from law, and so I couldn't get a job. And I was married and had a new daughter, and really, I went to church with a guy that had a trash company called Looney Bins. Looney Bins. And so he offered me a job, and I didn't know anything about it, but I had no money in the bank and had to pay the mortgage, and so I started in the waste industry in 2002, and eventually we got acquired by WM in 2008, and I've been in that industry ever since, and I absolutely love it. And I think it was Sharon that was talking about her life and all the different things that she did, and that now she found a job that encapsulated everything, and I feel like I got there too. So I love what I do.
Yeah. Wow, so that's just an amazing story.
I tell my attorney friends I practiced law for a couple of years, and I had to make up for it, so I became a minister for 10 years.
I see. So. Mike told me he has no trouble just giving speeches and giving talk, right?
Yeah.
So Mike, WM is a leader in sustainability. Can you talk about the technical innovations and how those innovations have become industry standard?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I think one of the areas where WM's led the industry is in safety. So there's so many safety standards, the things that are on the trucks that are collect the material today, the facilities that we operate in, the landfills, everything. Safety is such a high standard. I think we've set the bar, and people follow from that. But when you think about what's happening right now, like we use AI to route. We have 12 or 1,300 trucks every day that are collecting material from different customers. And so we use AI so that the night before, all those trucks are routed because computers are going to do it faster with all the permutations that you can think about. We use AI to set the routes for the next day. But we live in LA, and so there's traffic problems, there's wrecks, there's construction, and something happens. And so in the near future, we're going to use AI combined with a different version of like waves that will automatically reroute those trucks on the fly so that we're always staying as efficient, taking the trucks off the road as quickly as possible. And now those trucks have a camera system, we call it the smart truck, but when the material gets dumped in the truck, AI looks at as it's being spilled in the hopper of the truck and says, wait a minute, that customer's throwing banana peels in the cardboard bin, and it shouldn't be, and it will take the video and send an email to the customer and say, don't do that. The food goes in the food bin. And so we're teaching our customers how to sort better because that project you spoke about, we got CSUN students teaching an apartment complex how to do it by hand. And that's the reality of a lot of what we are challenged with when we get the material is it being thrown in the wrong bin. Sometimes they're meaning to do the right thing. Sometimes they filled up the bin that it belonged in, and so they just stick it in the other one. But so now we're teaching how to recycle. And then when it gets to the facility, the facilities now are using AI to identify what the materials are, and then the automated sorting that can go on. And I envision our facilities one day to be able to measure the different components and what's going on that conveyor belt and actually make changes in belt speeds, different things, and adjust before a human would ever notice that something's getting out of whack, like we saw 3 aluminum cans here, adjust this. And so it's always in flux based on the material. And so there's a lot of technology that we're pioneering, and you know, with new technologies, there's always some growing pains, but that's going to become, I think, industry standard over the years to come.
Yeah, that's a really awesome answer, and I can share with the audience here too that when we visit or work with Mike and the team at WM, they actually showed the metrics of how they measure the performance, and the number one metric is safety. That was like extremely impressive, right? So Mike, you talk a lot about the application of AI, but just on a more general picture, what do you see as the role of AI for sustainability, right? Just on a broader scale.
Well, I think if you start with the customer level, sometimes you want them to, right now we're kind of limited to, well, look up on a website what goes where, or we send flyers, or you send text messages. And I think, maybe it's a Siri version of recycling, and different cities have different rules, and different states have different rules. But I think I could see AI to where, Siri, where does this go? And it teaches you where to send stuff, and it can know the local rules, the state rules, and what they want to do. So I could see
it's like a true partner.
Yeah, it's teaching you how to do it rather than hoping the flyer got there or a text message that went out to the customer or they read the bill insert, because things are changing, materials are changing really fast. What we built recycling facilities before 10, 15 years ago, you know what the number one component was in it?
No.
Newspaper. You don't see hardly any newspapers anymore, and that's just in a decade. And so you spend millions.
I think these students don't know what newspapers are.
Yeah, it's like, I know it's all on the web. But so it's changing so fast. I think utilizing AI can help move much more quickly with how the material stream is changing and teach people.
Well, that's an exciting vision, and we love to be a part of that. That sounds really exciting to engage technology in a really productive way. The other question I have is, we started a project we call now Recycle Cool with you, and the enthusiasm, the passion, the energy, the excitement from students is just something I have not experienced before. It's just so extraordinary. I think it's partly because it's something very relatable to the student, but I think partly the student feel like, wow, they are really making a real world difference right with the community, right? Yeah, so they now start talking about, ways to affect long-term behavior and get people excited about it. How do you get people excited about recycling, Mike?
I think when they understand the environmental benefit of what they're doing,
Right.
Especially the young generation that's growing up now, they really want to save the planet.
Right.
And there's whether it's the air quality, whether it's water quality, whether it's resource, they're very passionate about doing something to better the world that we're living in.
Right.
And so when you get to work at something and know that not only are you interacting with people and doing something great, but you're also helping planet Earth,
Right.
you can go home and feel really good about it.
Yeah.
And what's sustainable for the planet is also good for WM.
Exactly.
Because we want to be the leader in that.
Right.
So.
And I guess we have to be able to tell that story in a way that moves people emotionally, right? I mean, that's extremely important, right?
And that's one of the challenges, because when you think about trash, the average person is thinking about, well, I got to put it in the right container and then get the container out to the curb on Tuesday morning.
That's right, yeah.
And then a truck comes by, and then it goes away.
Right.
And most people don't think, well, what happens after that?
Right.
And there's amazing technology in this industry, but most people stop with the container at the curb and then, and then bring it back when it's empty. And so I think we can do a better job telling that story about what's happening, and I think it will get more of your students interested. And being able to do something great for the environment.
And you've seen they do like this trash pie at the display. I think this is just the first way for students to understand even the trash composition, right? And the amount of trash that each of us individually generate. I mean, that brings that message home, and that's one of the ideas that Eugene Tseng has been talking about for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Well, Mike, last but not least, I have to ask you this question, about Leonardo da Vinci again, right? Just because today the whole thing is about Leonardo da Vinci, what he thinks. So if you were to have a conversation with him about sustainability, what do you think that conversation would be like?
Well, he did invent a tank, so I think he would love a trash truck, because he was fascinated with motion. And I was going to say, well, it's the most sophisticated thing, and then Leslie talked about Mars rovers and rovers on Jupiter, and it was like, she's going to yawn if I say a trash truck is really sophisticated.
It can fly in space and collect debris.
Okay, I'll just say, on the city streets, but you think about the arms collecting, you've got compaction that's going on, you've got camera systems measuring all the safety device. I think Da Vinci would love the trash truck, and I think Da Vinci would love the recycling facilities.
I see.
Because he was a master at light. We use light to sort. He loved motion and mechanics and how do you get material to go different ways. And he actually designed a robot too, a fighting robot. Well, we have robots in our facilities too. So I kind of think he would love the trash truck and the recycling facilities.
Well, Mike, thank you so much again for taking the time to be with us today.
You're welcome.
And share with us a little bit of what your vision looked like in the future. And certainly from the arts community, we're really looking forward to expand our collaboration with you, and really appreciate the opportunity that you have provided
Thank you.
our community. Everybody, please, again, give us respect for Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.